Nadine, we can't hear the audio. I can't hear the audio.
This is who we are. We can't have land without the water. This is who we are. And they work together. This is who we are. Tell your sister and your brother this. Education is the key. It's good for you, good for me. Let's join our hands together so we can live much better. Fishing for today and tomorrow. We all can defeat the sorrow. So men won't have to borrow. No. This is who we are. We can't have land without the water. This is who we are. And they work together. This is who we are. Tell your sister and your brother this.
This the islands, we smiling. Universal love, our style, man. People come from all over the world to taste our world, Caribbean pearls. But we gotta respect the reef and tourists, respect the sea. Teach the youth humanity, marine education policy.
This is who we are. We can't have land without the water. This is who we are. And they work together. This is who we are. Tell your sister and your brother this. This is who we are. We can't have land without the water. This is who we are. And they work together. This is who we are. Tell your sister and your brother this. What happened on land affects the sea. Clean up the act, my people. Clean up the sea. Pick up the bottle for you and for me. I tell you together, we will clean our country. This is who we are. We can't have land without the water. This is who we are. And they work together. This is who.
Okay, so I will pause that. There's still about 1 minute to go on that video, but you can find it on YouTube. I will share the link if you're interested. Greetings to everyone. Welcome to the Cnfo's Leadership Institute. So tonight's training will be on communication and networking. I am Nadine Nembhard and I will be your facilitator. So that music video was produced at a workshop entitled Communicating for Conservation under a project called ECMAN. The purpose of this workshop was to train project leaders to communicate a narrative. That narrative was in alignment with that project goals and objectives. This workshop, because I was fortunate to participate as we were a partner on that project, it made me realize how powerful and important communication is to an organization, and that fisher folk organizations, Cnfo and its members, we must adopt strategies, however creative, to advocate for fishers' rights. We must send a positive narrative. This must be shared. If you can reflect in your own mind, I want you to think of any commercial ads on your local TV or your radio station regarding the fishing industry. What kind of messages are being sent and by whom? So that is something for you to reflect on. So thanks again, everyone, for joining. We're going to do a small icebreaker. The time frame for the presentation is 1 hour, and we try to maintain that 1 hour. So we have introduced ourselves and we have a WhatsApp group, but I know we don't know each other intimately. So I want to play a small game. I am not seeing the Zoom chat, so I will need someone to help, or you can just interject with this presentation because I'm doing both technical and I am doing the presentation. You will have all rights to just unmute your mic if you have anything to interject and say and just burst it out because I'm not seeing if you raise your hand. So let's start. So this is how it's going to go. I will give a description and I want someone to comment on which one of these beautiful ladies that description matches. So we have 4 ladies. All of them are members of the Cnfo Leadership Institute. So we have Miss Charlene Castle, we have Elita Green, we have Kasha Walker, and we have Hillian Mitchell. I hope you're seeing them and their names. All right, so let's go. Sorry for that small interruption. Now let's imagine, I don't know if any of you have seen a calendar that was made by GIF. GIF is the Gender in Fisheries team. And during the Gulf and Caribbean, the GCFI conference each year, they launch a calendar. So it's a 12-month calendar, and each month has a beautiful face of a fisher lady. That was the first one. So let's say we are doing a calendar again this year, a virtual calendar maybe, Shelley, maybe that's an idea. But we need a cosmetologist. We need someone that will be able to beautify this lady for us. So who in our network, which one of these 4 ladies do you think we can call on, because she is a professional cosmetologist now, to do a beautifying of a fisher lady? So please just feel free to jump in. I can't manage the Zoom. Jump in and tell me who of these 4. Who?
Kasha Walker.
Kasha Walker, no. Let's try again.
Charlene.
Charlene, no, not Charlene.
Rosemary.
Right. So I don't know if she's on the call. Maybe she is. I can't see at the moment, but Miss Elita Rosemary Green, if you're here, are you on the call, Miss Green? Okay. She's a professional cosmetologist and a cook. She loves fishing, and she's a church-going person, and she believes in God. Let's say this is another scenario. There is a university professor who is doing a research, and that person wants to interview a president, a lady president, a woman president of a fisherfolk organization. Which one of these ladies would I direct that professor to for an interview? Jump in.
Miss Mitchell. Hilda Mitchell.
No, not Miss Hilda.
Miss Castle.
Right, Miss Castle, and I just saw that Miss Castle joined the call. Welcome, Miss Castle. She is the president. Miss Castle, can you unmute and introduce yourself, please? I know that you're on the call. Okay, she is the president of Machineal Fisherfolk Benevolent Society in Jamaica. All right, so very good. And let's do some men, because we can't just do the women. We'll make this quick. So someone messaged me, one of these 4 handsome men. We have Desmond Barrett, Leslie Alexander, Julius Ambris, and Dwayne Lewis. One of them just messaged me and sent his apologies and sent a beautiful flyer because he's going to DJ tonight at a rooftop 36th birthday party. Which one of these gentlemen I would call if I need for him to promote my party and DJ at it?
Dwayne.
Right. So that is Dwayne. He's the president of Grand Anse Fisherfolk Association in Grenada. He has traveled to Belize on a learning exchange, and he's a DJ and events promoter. All right, so I'm having the party DJ. The DJ is Dwayne, and I need a police officer. Which one of these gentlemen I would call to assist me in my network to guard the gate?
Leslie.
Who's answering?
Leslie.
All right, well, who gave the answer?
Me, Rita.
Oh, you know Leslie, that's why. So beautiful.
Rita, you cheated. You cheated.
I'm sorry, Penna.
Beautiful. So he got really involved in the fishing business at the age of 15 years. And until now, he's still in it. He owned a fishing vessel. He's presently a fish retailer and the president of Goodwill Fishermen Cooperative Society in St. Lucia. Professionally, he's a police officer attached to the St. Lucia Coast Guard. I did too. So that's just for us to get to know a little about each other. I want to do another. I don't know if this person is on and more, and then we'll move. This is a part of my presentation. We need to network and know who is in our network that we can call on for certain things. So this person, so I'm at the party, DJ Dwayne is on the music system. I have my police officer, Mr. Leslie, and then all of a sudden the AC went in, like my AC just went bad. Which one of these gentlemen I can call on to quickly repair my AC, my air conditioner?
Julius. Julius.
Yes, he is 23 years old, and he does fishing on weekends. When he's not working, he has attained a certificate and associate degree in refrigeration and air conditioning. He did his internship at the fish market in Kingston, St. Vincent. Yes. So that's the little icebreaker. So after this training, members are going to be acquainted with what is communication, why we communicate, how we communicate, communicating for success, example of communication plans, and networking. What is networking? And of course, as normal, we are going to set aside some time for question and answers. So let's get into it. What is communication? Communication is the process of sending and receiving messages through verbal or non-verbal means. And you can also communicate through written means. And let's look at this illustration here. There's a couple that we can say that maybe they're on a date, having food. And the sender of the message, she said, "Your food smells delicious." And then we have a receiver. He gave a feedback and he said, "Thanks." But he also interpreted that message to mean that maybe she wants to try and taste my food. So when we're communicating, we want to remember a few things. The communication must be credible. It must be adequate and timely. So why do we communicate? I have researched and I found 5 good reasons why we need to communicate. We communicate to change behavior. We communicate to get action. We communicate to ensure understanding. We communicate to persuade, and we communicate to get and give information. I think we are most familiar with the last one because each day we communicate to gather information, we share information, we receive information. But I won't go into any of these in detail, except I want to look more closely at why we communicate to persuade and how we can effectively communicate with persuasion. So just give me a moment to look at the human brain. There is a part of it called the limbic system. It is the collective name for the structures in the human brain that is involved with emotions and memory. So now, due to how this part of the brain works, we remember people, experiences, and anecdotes. So our brain is not really wired to remember a lot of big numbers, data, and information. One death is a tragedy. 1 million is a statistic. So this quote came from this book. I was introduced to this book from the same communication workshop that I attended in 2015. And I want to further illustrate the points about the limbic system. It is to say that we are not wired to comprehend the enormity of problems like global hunger, pandemic, or climate change. We are wired to respond to individuals. So the columnist, the New York Times columnist, Nick Kristof, he wrote this book, Half the Sky. And in this book, he says that a growing collection of psychological studies show that statistics have a dulling effect, while it is individual stories that move people to act. So in one experiment, I'm still on this book. In one experiment, research subjects were divided into several groups, and each person was asked to donate $5 to alleviate hunger abroad. So $5 you need to donate. The first group, they were told that the money would go to Rokia, a 7-year-old girl in Mali. The second group was told that the money would go to address malnutrition among 21 million Africans. And the third group was told that the donations would go to Rokia, but she was presented as part of the backdrop of global hunger and some statistics thrown in it. I want someone to answer me, which one of the three groups do you think raised most monies? The one with just the story about Rokia, the 7-year-old girl from Mali? Or the one that if you give your money, it will feed 21 million people? Which one of the two stories do you think? You can just jump in. Right. So people were more keen to contributing to that single girl because of the story they heard of this one girl. And that is how the brain is wired. We are based on emotions. Sorry, I apologize for that long pause. My baby, Jahida, suddenly woke up and she was interrupting, but I'm good now. So what I was saying, my colleagues, is that social psychologists, they argue that all this reflects the way our conscience is based on individual stories and are distinct from the parts of our brains concerned with logic and rationality. So when they do an experiment and they had people solving math problems, the brain started to work on logics. And after that, they were less generous and they didn't want to donate to the needy. So these were the findings from this book. So the point of this is to say that if we use stories in our narrative to share about fisher folk and how we want to send a positive message, we can do so by sharing our stories. How we communicate within the Cnfo. We have meetings when the occasion arises. We have face-to-face. Mostly we communicate virtually. We have literature. We use flyers, newsletters, briefs. Some of our NFOs are on talk shows, radio show, television. We use a lot of social media, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. If you have not liked any of our social media pages, please do so. And we use internet, we use emails, we use Skype, Zoom, website, and we use networks. So I know these are all popular tools and we all use them daily within our National Fish Folk organizations and our PFOs. But the way you might use it might differ and you might tweak it to match the needs of your members and their requests. So we know what works best for our members in the Cnfo. We use WhatsApp and we know our members know who would respond to a WhatsApp message. I mean, some people, they make specific requests that, yes, we have these groups, but if you need me to act on to do any action, I prefer you call me. Don't expect that I will be seeing these messages and responding. So you learn the people that you're working with and you communicate to them to suit their needs. So the Cnfo has a communication and advocacy plan. And this piece, this table, is a small piece that I extracted to go deeper to show how we communicate with our stakeholders. So we want to communicate the stakeholder. Here we have different levels and different angles of people we need to communicate with. But for this illustration, we want to communicate with our fisheries authorities in the Cnfo member states. Why do we want to communicate with the fisheries division? We want to do so to keep informed. They are advocates along with us. What support do we need from them? We want them to commit to formulating regional positions on issues affecting Caribbean fisheries, especially for the purpose of making representation to international regulatory bodies on behalf of fisheries. What actions we want our fisheries division to take? We want them to communicate to us all the relevant decisions that they have made on the industry. We want them to endorse our activities at the Cnfo. We also want them to participate along with us in our organized sessions or press conferences or press briefings. We want them with us. That's the action that we require from our fisheries division. What tools do we use to communicate? According to the advocacy plan, we will use our newsletters, our bulletins, correspondence. We will send letters and so on. We will have informal interaction face-to-face or via telephone. We'll maybe just pick up the phone and call the Fisheries Division. We have the website and this is email distribution list. So communicating for success. You will use the best medium for your targeted audience. Like I said in the Cnfo, WhatsApp works for us. So that is the medium that we prefer to use, but there's telephone, you have other ICT platforms, literature, voice and video calls. You have to ensure that your communication, the product that you're sending out, the information that you're sending out is verifiable. We don't want to send out any false news. So we have to ensure that these things are factual and they can withstand scrutiny. It has to involve feedback. So we can verify that correct information was sent and we also receive back information. It is managed by someone. So maybe someone in your organization is controlling the communication, your public relations, maybe your secretary, but it is managed and controlled by someone. It is also monitored. This allows for verification of effectiveness. So we have our WhatsApp group and we have a few people who are monitoring the information, monitoring the means of communication, and this allows us to adapt. So if we need to change anything, when it's being monitored, we know what we need to change. For example, maybe we had to change some rules to the WhatsApp because of the monitoring its existence and how people participated in it. Some recommendations came for how we can adapt. So these are just some ways of ensuring that when you communicate, you're doing so successfully. And then we have members. We know that some of you in your organization, you have your communication plan. So I'm not going to go through these, but it's just to show you that we have, for example, TOF. This is our NFO lead organization in Trinidad and Tobago. In 2016, they formulated a communication and advocacy plan. In 2010 to 2015 strategic plan for the Belize Fishermen Cooperative Association. In there too, they had a small bit on how and strategies on how they should communicate. They spoke about improving their newsletter, enhance public awareness, publish brochures and posters and so on. So they have one. I'm sure that many of you have a plan in your organization. So on the next slide, we're going to look at some of the recommendations that were in the Cnfo's communication plan, because we too have our communication and advocacy plan. So we have 9 recommendations that came out of our plan. It was recommended to us that we should recruit an in-house communication expertise, and this person would work with our public relations officer. The next one is the Cnfo should develop an annual work plan from which to create half-quarterly communication plans. Then we have here, the Cnfo should task someone with the duty of monitoring national, regional, and international developments that could impact on Caribbean fisheries with the view to develop appropriate communication products to circulate. We should build a strong relationship with the communication and information officer in relevant government ministries in our member countries. So I'm reading the 5th one. We should build a profile for ourselves with the regional media. The CNFO could consider using multimedia documentation on our website. We should be updating our website on a monthly basis. The 8th recommendation we got was that we should implement a recording system that provides a more robust organizational memory. And from that document, the last and 9th recommendation was for the CNFO to establish protocols for arriving at decisions that establishes timelines for when the information will be disseminated, feedback, and so on. So that is just for you to understand the type of things that you can do to enhance your communication strategy within your own FFO organizations. All right, so I want to get ready to give some type of feedback. This slide shows some of our products, advocacy products. So 2 years ago in 2018, Montserrat Fishing and Boaters Association approached the Cnfo and asked for some assistance in advocacy, and we took their information and we made this little flyer for them to circulate. It was circulated with the Fisheries Authority at the Fisheries Forum amongst their own Fisher Folk organization, and it was to go to the media and so on. And then this year, our members kept making mention that the COVID is a serious situation. It's affecting many of our countries, and they requested that the CNFO publish something regarding this situation. So the executive, they met, and this is the narrative on this page is what they developed. And of course, I, as the administrative officer, I did the presentation, but it is their information that is on it. Maybe I want someone to compare the two situations, whatever differences you see between the two communication product. If you can unmute your mic, remember I can't see, and tell me what difference do you see in the two communication? One was made in 2018 and the other was made in 2020. I know you can't read. It doesn't have to do with read. It has to do with the aesthetics of the presentation of the product, how it looks to you.
Yeah, Nadine, if I can jump in, I really love the one on COVID. It's very attractive. Love the fact that there are lots of images on it.
Thanks, Maria. I'm glad I can recognize your voice. Anybody else?
Yeah, what Maria just said.
Yeah, and that was the point I was trying to bring forward. And it has to do with the next topic that will come shortly, networking. So I am the designated person to assist the CNFO with communication. I am called the communication expert of the CNFO, but I have no expertise in it. But we do what we have to do. And so the first one, we sent the message was sent. It was just presented on a Word document, but through our networks, that's why networking, I so love the fact that you can build your network and you can build partnership, because through networking, this is what we created in 2020. I reached out to a partner, UWI SERP, someone that used to work with them and who trained me in previous years on website. I don't even know when the people leave the organization because we have developed personal partnership. So I messaged that person and I asked, what software or what would you recommend for the Cnfo to improve on its communication product, because we are going into a new phase of disseminating information and spreading what I said in the introduction, positive narratives about the fishing industry. And we're really keen on making a beautiful, attractive, and creative presentation. And it might be simple information for some of you, but I did not know about Canva. And she said to me, they have a free version, so I could try using Canva. And so that's what I did. I used an application called Canva, C-A-N-V-A, and it turned what we used to have into what we now have. So going forward, it's this and better. The Cnfo will present to our members and the people that we are trying to communicate with, but it's only through networks that we sometimes get the opportunity to develop ourselves without having to invest financially in things. We use their expertise. So that was the point I was trying to make, and to illustrate how networking can work to assist you and your organization. So I'm going to finish off with communication. In your organization, you have your board of directors, you have the people who are in charge of coordinating the communication. So it's not random information, you're just sharing it. It's supposed to be coordinated. You have your top level leadership. They have a responsibility. You have a secretary on your board. You have your public relations officer. If you don't, it would be a good thing to have. We have one. I don't know if he's on the call, just in the quiet. And you have the group members who are aware and they're assisting in developing this product. And trust and believe, when we do a product, it is coming from our executive, because we meet, even if it has to go through a WhatsApp for them to review and comment and finalize. A product cannot go out. So it takes a little step. We try to fast track, because now we have a partnership with UWI Ceremonies under STEWARDFISH, where we are doing this campaign on EAF. So they would endorse the overall idea. But I just don't have authority to present these information on our social media. Like, I have to get, full support. So it's a coordinated effort, and it takes, it doesn't have to take a lot of time to get this coordinated for you to present your information, but it should involve all the persons in your board or who are responsible for communication in your organization. So that is it on communication. There's a whole lot, but I am aware of time and I want to move on. Just a small few minutes, a couple of minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, maybe a few minutes on networking. So I will just flip to networking and then we'll open for discussion. I just have bullet points, and after this I'm ending the presentation. So the Cnfo is a network, as you are aware of. So we have 17 leading organizations in 17 different member states. And we join together in a network to form what is one umbrella entity called the Cnfo. You have external network, I described that. We network with other partners within CARICOM. We have CANARA, UWI Ceremonies, FAO. So your network outside of your organization, and you also have internal networking. And it works just like external networking. It's about building a group of people who you could depend upon and who you could rely on to help you, if they can. And so that is the point of networking, one of the main points, that we can assist each other and we collaborate to get something completed, a task completed. And I think I need to close here because we need at least 10 minutes for discussions. So I want to thank everyone. I had a small little challenge tonight, but I think I overcame that, and I was able to complete the presentation. I have a few discussion questions, but I will just leave it open for now to see if anyone has anything they want to ask. And I want to leave this here. It is very important that each and every one of you are a part of the WhatsApp chat. I'm sure you all are in this chat. I also want you, if you have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, please go to the Cnfo pages and you like them and you follow us. We are bringing information daily through the collaboration, like I mentioned, under the STEWARDFISH project. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining, and let's go straight into discussion on communication. So the floor is open. I'm going to end my sharing of screen so that I can see what's happening in Zoom. All right, so let's go. Any questions? Charlene, if you have your hand up, I see it, you can go ahead.
I'm sorry, it must have been up accidentally and I don't know how to take it down because I'm using the phone.
All right, so maybe I will ask a question. Maybe somebody could tell me in your organization, how do you communicate? Please just answer. You don't have to raise a hand, just jump in. How do you communicate in your organization?
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
I am Clark from Turks and Caicos. We communicate by radio and television. We communicate by WhatsApp. We communicate by telephone. And we communicate, especially when we have meetings, we communicate using Zoom. And that's what we have been doing recently.
How do you find the Zoom?
Zoom works very well in Turks and Caicos. We would be able, sometimes we are able to get the umbrella organization, which is the Board of Governors. And then we have another Zoom network for the members of individual fishing groups or fishing cooperatives. And that's how we are able to communicate news or anything new happening in government that would impact fisher folk. We make sure they understand, they know. And of course, we use Facebook as well because a lot of government news and government operations are displayed on Facebook as well.
That is interesting that you say that government news is displayed on the social media. It's very popular now, I would say.
Definitely.
Is the communication coordinated?
Yeah, most of the time, especially with our minister, anything new coming up, I would consult with him, and he would say, well, you know, we're not ready for that to be on Facebook. Let's get together on our local Zoom. It's invited in and we talk.
All right, beautiful. So do we have any more comments on how do you communicate within your fisher folk organizations?
Nadine, are you hearing me?
Yes, Ms. Kejiana.
It's a little noise in my background. Good night, everybody.
Hi.
Okay, so for us at Goodwill, we find that communication can be a very difficult thing, but it's something that we have to be persistent and consistent about. What we do is that what we've done, for example, is that we've created a WhatsApp group chat Not every member is on WhatsApp, but that's one way that we disseminate information in very quick time. The strategy I have used, and especially for meetings and information that's very, very urgent to pass on. So let me just deal with meetings, for example. When I started with Goodwill, when we call quarterly meetings or AGMs, for example, you'd find out a lot of people wouldn't turn out. And the question was always, how do we get the information to them? How do we get people to know that there is a meeting and for them to come and so on? So one of the strategies we employed is that you call people. So let's say for the meeting, we had our AGM last month. We send the information out on the WhatsApp group chat. What we do is we do little flyers with information on the particular subject. So we did invitations on the AGM and we hand deliver. It's something that I love to do. Hand an invitation to the member or the flyer with the information, hand it to the member. And whilst I'm handing it over to the member, speak to the matter at hand so that they get an understanding, and right away they get to ask you a question and so on if they need to. And what I've found is that since we actually started doing that, the way the cooperative operates on a whole, it has really been more efficient, because you find that people don't complain about a lot of things because they do not know, why is this happening? Why are you all doing that? Why are you all doing that? And they would curse and they would swear and they would point fingers and they would label people as thieves and liars. But it was because they did not know what was going on with the cooperative. But as we communicate with people, as we speak with people, I meet them. If there is an issue, I will explain to them that this is why. This is why. There are some things that you keep confidential as management, but there are a lot of things that you can share with the members. And if it's something that it's okay to share, you share it with them, you explain it to them. And what it does is create buy-in, because they now start to understand why you take a certain decision, how the decision will affect them. If you didn't take it, what the consequences would be. And you find that they now will tell you, okay, they support this and they support that. And that has made life at the cooperative much, much simpler. I just wanted to share that.
That is awesome, Kejiana. Thanks for sharing. Anybody else, you want to explain how communication is work in your organization? Is it coordinated with your board members, or how is it coordinated? What challenges do you face with communication in Fisher-Folk organizations? Mr. Gary Gore, can you give us a perspective from Antigua?
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
At the moment, as you are aware, our cooperative is conflicted, but previously, we basically use WhatsApp, telephone calls, emails. A lot of the time we would use the media. That is not the print media, but the radio media.
Do you use social media? Like Turks and Caicos said they use social media, so I'm going to look for them on Facebook. What do you do? Did you use social media of any sort?
No, we don't use social media, but the intention is once our legal issues are basically resolved,
okay,
the full spectrum of communication that is available to us.
Okay, I understand. Okay, thanks, Mr. Gore. I will start calling if no one wants to assist in giving us information. We have a whole 8 minutes to go. Any questions or comments on communication within your organization? I heard from St. Lucia. I know they're organized. I want to hear from Grenada. Maybe Kasha, you could help me. I know you're the secretary. How do you communicate with your members?
Nadine?
Yes, go ahead.
One of the most efficient ways that that I realize that really works and is very impactful, and as Kejiana indicated, is the one-on-one communication that you basically explain to a member what is going on within the organization. or you might catch them in a small group, and that way you can properly relate to them, you know, what is really going on. That seems to be most effective.
I agree. And it ties in with face-to-face communication being one of the most effective. I agree from my experience also.
And of course, it builds a certain level of trust also.
Of course. Miss Nikisha is the only new person that registered for Module 6. All of you have registered maybe some earlier time. This is our newest person. Most of us did not get to meet her. So Miss Nikisha, can you come on the call, please, and unmute yourself? Miss Nikisha, can you hear us?
Yes, good night.
Yes, ma'am. Maybe you could introduce yourself because we did not do an orientation with you. People welcomed you, but we don't know you much. So can you introduce yourself and share with us a little about your experience with communication and or networking, how networking has assisted you with your work?
Night. My name is Nikisha Watson Blake. I am currently representing the Falkers Beach community, or should I say, fishing village. I am the new president-elect. Recommunication in my area is a remote area where we hardly have services like, so therefore we normally would communicate via WhatsApp. Would have to do that, communicate via WhatsApp. No.
Like if you had to do a Zoom meeting, would that work for you and your members?
No.
No.
No, ma'am. It wouldn't work. No.
Because
in that area, persons only get reception. It's really a remote area.
Like how many people, how many fisher people would be in that area, approximately?
Approximately 20, 25.
Okay. So that's enough that you would want to reach though. All right.
Yes.
Okay, so thanks for sharing that. That is very important for us to remember. That is a barrier in communication where people are in remote areas and they're not, they don't have access to internet to communicate through ICT needs.
Right.
Yes, so that is one barrier. So thanks for sharing. That's very important for us to remember. So you used to use WhatsApp. So when you want to speak to you are the new leader. So when you want to reach your members, you have to communicate to them. So how do you do that?
We have to communicate. Currently we communicate via social distancing, face-to-face.
Okay, I understand. So you're close enough that if it wasn't for the pandemic, you would have been able to do face-to-face communication.
Yes. Well, some of the time we do that. We do face-to-face with like 15 members.
Yes, ma'am. All right. So you call me mom, so I listen.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Miss Nikisha.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. I will ask one more question because we want to end on time. I don't want to keep you back too much. We are trying to stick to our 1 hour. I want someone to speak on networking within FFO organization and how it's it contributed to your growth or not, how it works for you. Just one person, you have a couple of minutes to do so. Been in situations where you have developed partnerships and your network has grown. Who are the persons or the organizations or the people that you have in your network? I will just call on somebody, you know. Let me See Miss Susan. Good night, Miss Susan. Max, can you hear me? If you're on mute, can you hear me? And tell me, I know that you have like wide network, so how has it worked for you in Guyana? Can you hear me, people?
I can, Nadine. It's Maria.
Max, you're not hearing me, Max. Maybe you're distracted. I will call on somebody else then, and we want to end off with one final comment. No worries. Leslie. Yes, Leslie. Alexander. Leslie, can you hear me? No. All right, we are either distracted or we're being shy. So, Ms. Therese, if you can unmute and introduce yourself, if you can hear me, I would appreciate that. I think you were in the ICT training this morning, is that correct? Therese Moore.
Yes, I was.
Ms. Therese, introduce yourself. I just saw your name. I don't remember you being here, sorry.
Yes, I'm Therese Moore, and I am a fisheries officer, work with the fisheries division. And yes, I was in the training this morning.
Ms.
You hear me?
You not registered with WeChat? You're new, you're just here?
Well, I was asked to sit in on, I was invited to sit in on the meeting.
No problem. You're from St. Lucia?
No, I'm from Barbados.
Barbados, sorry. I just need to record you. Sorry, Ms. Therese. I saw your name this morning, Therese Moore. Okay, very good. You could help us then. I know you know a lot about networks and communication, and you even know about ICT now. The last minute, maybe you could share something on experience, please.
On communication?
Yeah, or networking. How it works for you on your fisheries division. So it would be good to hear how you communicate with the fisheries organizations in Barbados.
Well, in fisheries division, it helps that we have Barnufo office directly in our office. They have an office within fisheries division. So yes, and there's also some WhatsApp. The fisheries division, some of the managers in fishery division is on the Fisher Fork WhatsApp, things like that. So we could communicate through that. We also communicate by flyers or sending out phone calls or by selling out bulletins to the Fisher folk. But I find what works best is when you call them one-on-one and get them to commit to the meetings. And when we do have meetings. Sometimes if we want to inform further, we use the media to get messages out there to the fisher folk.
That is excellent. I think that is a very good strategy. I noticed that I've heard it this morning as well. I know for St. Lucia Cnfo, they incorporate the fisheries division and the cooperative department in their WhatsApp chat so that the network is as tight as possible and the communication flows. I heard it for St. Lucia. I didn't realize that the WhatsApp chat, you have Miss Nadine George and other people to support. So all the support people. So that's good networking, and that is what we wanted to hear. Well, whatever you say, it's your strategy and it works, but that is good. and coordinated. And also now for Barbados, I'm hearing it. So that's excellent. Thanks for your contribution. I know communication, we do it differently. We don't have any, we do what is best for our organization. So I appreciate all the contributions and I thank you for listening. And we are 3 minutes late. So, you know, before we go, if we can just turn on your video, who can, so that we can do a screenshot and maybe, you know, this can be another story on our social media, newsletter, something. Yes, so we have ended. I will stop recording. Everything else after this is informal. So thanks again and good night, but don't go.